Lesson 37, Adding Functions to Excel. In this lesson, we're going to talk about adding brand new functions to Excel. Excel already comes with 355 functions, but there's a good chance you might have calculations that are specific to your industry that aren't in Excel, like, for example, some oil and gas calculations or logging calculations. Whatever industry you're in, you probably have some number that you need to calculate that Excel doesn't know about. So we can teach Excel your function and have it be just like the 355 functions. We'll talk about deciding if the function is something that's called volatile or not. So let's get started. Well, I have a workbook here, and it would be nice if I could have a function that would tell me where this workbook is saved. So equal my path. All right, but that's not a built-in function. So, we're just kind of out of luck. But we're not out of luck, because we can create our own custom function. So here's what we do. We go into Visual Basic, and we have a blank module. And instead of creating a macro that starts with sub, we create a macro that starts with function, and put the name of the function as we want to type it in the spreadsheet. So my path, open and closing parentheses. This particular function doesn't require any arguments. And then somewhere during the macro, we need to assign a value to the variable called my path. It always has to be the exact same name as the function. So by the end of this macro, we need to have a calculation, and that calculation needs to be stored in a variable called my path. Well, this is a really simple function. My path is equal to this workbook dot path. Simple enough. Let's go back and try it. We'll just type equal my path. See, it's even known by the wizard now, and there we get exactly where that workbook is saved. Pretty slick. I mean, that was very, very easy. Now let's talk about a calculation that's a bit more difficult. We have a data set here, and someone has gone through and highlighted some cells in yellow and some cells in green. Let's imagine that you have a data set with 10,000 records, and your manager comes to you and says, hey, add up all the yellow cells. Oh, well, that would be pretty difficult to do, but we can define a custom function that will add up cells of a certain color. So I created a function here called SumColor. Now, there's two arguments that we're going to specify. The first argument is a range, basically a cell, that has the color that we're looking for. So whoever's typing this function in will type equal SumColor, and they'll point to a cell that's yellow or a cell that's green, and then a comma, and then the next argument is called SumRange. This is also a range. This is a nice big rectangular range of numbers that have various colors applied to them. We want to look through all the cells in SumRange and see if they're the same color as the color of the cell color range. So again, by the end of this function, by the end of this macro, we have to have a variable defined that is SumColor that calculates all the numbers we want to add up. So we start out the macro saying this color is equal to cell color. That's the argument they passed, dot interior dot color index. I initialize SumColor to be 0, and then say for each cell in SumRange, we're going to loop through all of these cells. If that cell's interior color index is equal to the color that we stored from cell color, then SumColor is equal to SumColor plus cell and next cell. So after finishing this loop, we're going to have a variable called SumColor, and Excel will return the value of that variable to our worksheet. So let's just try it. Here's yellow, here's green. We'll say equal SumColor. I go point to a yellow cell, and then I point to the whole range that we want to add up. Press enter, and it says yellow is 1099. Equal SumColor. Go click on a green cell, not necessarily the first green cell, and point to the whole range. 2071. All right, let's do a little test here. If I click on all the yellow cells with the control key held down, I get 1099. That worked. If I click on all of the green cells, 2071. That worked. All right, now here's something you have to be very, very careful with your custom functions. If you make a change to the worksheet, your function may not calculate. Excel has a calculation stream that says, hey, whenever we make a certain change, we're going to go calculate certain cells. By default, these cells will not be calculated unless we make a change to either B3 or B2 to B23. And certainly the process of formatting a cell with color is not something that kicks the calculation chain off. So if I make that cell green, the 2071 does not change. I have to be aware of this, and it's just one of the limitations. Now, you can improve the ability of Excel to calculate this by using a certain keyword here. It's actually a method. If we go into our macros, and the very first line of the function is application.volatile. That tells Excel that, hey, this function is going to change, and every time you calculate anything in the worksheet, we should recalculate this. So here we'll try it. 2186, I'll try and color something else green. All right, again, because we did not change a number, it didn't calculate, but if we enter any number in any cell, that function will update. All right, that's a little quirky, isn't it? I mean, you potentially could end up with the wrong answer if you're not careful. I guess if you were going to use this, you would train people. You would say, hey, anytime that you change a cell color, we want to force a calculation, by pressing the F9 key, or on the Formulas tab by clicking Calculate Now, and that will force it to calculate. One other thing to be aware of is that these functions are only available in this workbook, equal sum color. If I would store these in the personal macro workbook, they're not going to be known. They're going to be name errors. You would actually have to go through and say that they were personal.xlsb, and then the function would work outside of the workbook. One way to get around that is to store your functions in an add-in. You would save your file as an add-in, and then any open add-ins, the functions in those add-ins will work in all open workbooks. Yet another quirky bit of behavior. So of course, if you can get away using one of the 355 functions in Excel, you're in great shape. There are a few instances though where you need to build your own function. Just be aware the calculation may not be as automatic as the regular built-in functions. Okay, well that's lesson 37. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful.
Looking to advance your career by acquiring new skills? Tired of expensive off-site training programs? Wish you could learn from the best instructors in the industry? Look no further than Live Lessons. Self-paced, personal video instruction by the world's leading technology publishers. Each live lesson comes with a DVD featuring 3 to 4 hours of instructor-led classroom training, sample program code that allows you to work along with your personal instructor, and an example-rich study guide. Live lessons allow you to watch the entire course from start to finish, or navigate directly to any of the individual lessons. You'll literally watch over the shoulder of your instructor as he shows you how to build state-of-the-art applications. Live Lessons, the power of the world's leading technology experts at your fingertips. To learn more, visit mylivelessons.com today.